Right, where do I even start with this? It's been a bit of a weird day. It didn't go exactly how I thought it would go, to be honest. Despite we've been on a 7-loss run with Pauno before our draw against Peterborough the other day, I didn't think anything would change no matter what happened with the result of this game. I didn't think we were going to win it. Although we have got a good record against Preston North End, I didn't think we were going to win it, but we did. That was the first surprise of the day. The second surprise was Pauno being sacked. Not because of anything previous, I just thought if there was any time to do it, could it be after we got knocked out in the FA Cup by a non-league team? No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. What about when we lose 7-0 to Fulham? No, no problem with that. That's absolutely fine. What about the 7 losses in a row? No problem with that at all. That's absolutely fine. What about a decent win away at Preston North End? What? Get out. Yeah, apparently that was that was the initial reaction. It's a strange time to sack him, but of course it seems like this was decided before the game, which might have had an impact on the fact that we won. It might have given the players a little bit of it sounds harsh saying that, you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe they had a bit of a pick-me-up from knowing that Pauno wouldn't be there when they went to training on Monday. But anyway, look, he's gone, and it was a long time overdue. And I suppose let's concentrate on that first before we get onto the whole Tom Ince and his dad, Paul Ince. That's exactly how Reading strangely announced his appointment. The father of Tom. It was strange, isn't it? It was like in a school newsletter when, you know, the coach or the PE teacher can't take the football anymore, so they're going to let someone's dad take over for a little bit, which I'm pretty sure happened for a little while when I was playing for AFC Newbury when I was 8. It feels very similar. Oh, what, you need another manager? Oh, my dad's free. Do you know Paul Ince? Yeah, he'll come down. Yeah, don't worry about the money. No, we'll sort that out later. So, right, let's get on to the Pauno thing. So first of all, yes, he should have been sacked. It was a long time coming. He was out of his depth, unfortunately. I always felt with Pauno, he came in to Reading with one really nice way of playing football, and for those first 7 games, it did us well. We did great. We went on that unbeaten run. We were top of the table. We were clear by quite a few points early in the season last year, and unfortunately, it only took a couple of coaches to watch videos of Reading playing and realising that it was all about João keeping up the ball, popping it off to the side. They quickly worked out how we played, and that was it. Pauno didn't have a plan B. He's never had a plan B, and that's why we continued to drop. We went from, top of the table last season, and we dropped down. Okay, finishing 7th wasn't terrible, and we also had the injury issue. People forget we've had that injury issue for about 3 seasons in a row now. But either way, it didn't happen. But I was positive coming into this season. I felt that Pauno had proven that he could do a job, and obviously he couldn't. And we've had a terrible season, and it is a shame because I feel for the guy. He's not a nasty guy. He seems like one of the genuine good guys in football. But maybe that is the issue when you've got a team like this that's struggling, not only on the pitch but off the pitch. You do need someone to come in and just say, look, ignore the bullshit, we've got a job to do. We have got a job to do. And I don't feel like Paunovic, as scary as he was sometimes on the touchline, I think we saw John O'Shea jump a few times in his presence. He just didn't seem to be able to get the locker room behind him. And it's a shame, really, especially when you had players apparently going to Tim Delors, the press at BBC Berkshire, and saying we don't want him as manager. That's when you know it's all gone wrong. So it's a shame, and it is because, unfortunately, Pauno's best time as manager was when the fans weren't in. I would have, for just purely for banter, if I was Pauno, I would have blamed the fans when I left. He came out, if you haven't seen it, he came out at the end today and gave a really dignified goodbye, spoke to the press, which was great of him to do. It shows what sort of man he is. But I would have, for a laugh, just gone, yeah, do you know what? When the fans went in the ground, we won 7 on the trot. Now they're in, they've ruined it. But no, it is a shame that, and I want to thank Pauno. He's not watching this, but I want to thank Pauno, really, for the good times. And there were good times, and people forget that. We really thought he was the special one. We genuinely did for a while. He comes in, we go on this amazing unbeaten run. We get a lot of wins against some good teams. And that was in a very dark time in the UK. I don't want to get too dramatic, but it was when we were in lockdown. We were going into a second lockdown. We were stuck watching the game from home. We couldn't go back to the grounds. And unfortunately, as bad things were, there was something to look forward to every Saturday. And on a weekday night, you could put the game on and we were going to win. We were going to win the game. But unfortunately, that stopped happening, and we threw away silly points. We lost games that we shouldn't have done, and there were so many opportunities, I think, to go into the playoffs at least. Because it sort of started like we wanted to win the championship. And it was like, okay, we'll finish, we'll get automatics. Oh, at least we'll make the playoffs. And then I think it was a good month or two before the end of the season when we could have made playoffs. We all sort of realised it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen with this squad. So yeah, and the less said about this season, the better. But yeah, it's sad that it hasn't worked out for him. And he's gone, and good luck in the future. I do think the championship was too big a task for him. He was out of his depth. Maybe lower league or elsewhere, it'll work out for him. But as a guy, he seemed a good bloke, and it's sad it hasn't ended well. But the guy, he had to, bless him. He knew probably more than us that it was time to go. But fair play to him for giving it for trying his hardest, I suppose. But anyway, he's gone, and we thought, okay, it'll be Gilkesy. Gilkesy will be in next. He'll take care of us to the end of the season, and whatever will be due to our financial strain. But no, in comes, well, okay, Gilkes is in, hooray, but he's got a mate with him, and that mate is the governor. It's Paul Ince. Yes, I went into my parents' loft about an hour ago to go and fetch this. Yeah, Paul Ince, he's going to go up there above the shirt, is the new gaffer. And do you know what? There's been a lot of reaction. Some people are really happy, some people aren't happy. I do feel like that reaction is split between those who remember 90s football and those who were too young to remember 90s football. Because in the 90s, which is when I grew up, my first memories of football, Paul Ince was a huge part of that. He was great at Man United, he was great at Inter Milan and Liverpool, where I remember him the most. And playing for England as well. I remember him playing in World Cup '98. He was part of Glenn Hoddle's team and continued to play with them into Euro 2000 under Kevin Keegan. He was a great footballer, and I'm really happy to have him here. He's quite a big name, I think, still. And a lot of people are complaining, he hasn't been a manager since 2014. Well, do you know what? People were calling for McDermott to come back. He hasn't managed since 2015, 2016. People were calling for Steve Coppell to come back. He hasn't managed since 2010. So you've got to think of it like, okay, they're Reading managers and they know the Reading way and they're legends at the club, but they're still, McDermott, no offence to him, sorry, he proved in 2015 he was out of his depth. The championship had moved on since his long ball efforts of 2011, 2012. And okay, yeah, the same issue might be with Paul Ince. He might not have the experience, he might be out of touch. But one thing I do think about Paul Ince is that, unlike Pauno, he's not a nice guy. I don't mean that in a horrible way, but I do think that he is going to come in with a real attitude. I think he's going to the bullshit's going to go in the locker room. I think he won't stand for any of Ovi Ajara's bullshit. I think that's going to be dealt with either way very, very quickly. I think he'll get a performance out of them. I think he'll just make them realise that whatever's going off the pitch, whatever's going on in the terraces, just ignore it. We've got a job to do. I do think he's got some good man management skills that will hopefully bring to it. And Gilkesy, he's our link to the past. He knows the Reading way. Hopefully he'll be able to bring that balance in as well. So I'm actually positive about it. I could be eating my words in a couple of weeks when we go on another 7-game loss losing streak. Who knows? But I'm actually quite positive about this appointment. Yes, it's random. I'm not going to argue that. It's not a name any of us would have picked out of a hat today. But one of the first messages I got after the appointment was my mate, who's an MK Dons fan, and he was made up for us. He loves Ince. He's still a legend at MK Dons. He says, the club wouldn't be where they wouldn't have the times that they've had without Paul Ince. They could still be in non-league without Paul Ince. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up because I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes, but I just wanted to come on and give my reaction to it. Yeah, it was long overdue, Pauno going, and in fact, keeping him in the job for so long has probably done damage to his career in the long term. Hopefully it doesn't. And I am going to put my neck on the line here and say I'm excited for Paul Ince. We're 5 points clear of the drop zone, and I think we're going to stay up. So come on, you R's, up the ding. Come on, let's just keep ourselves in the championship this season. Paul Ince's right rule army.